Hey, hello everyone. I'm finally there. How are you? Alive. Yeah, Friday. I hope everyone is feeling good, not too tired. I'm feeling really great, but I have to say, even though it's my work like routine, I always spend hours on the computer, but I think this weekend, the past few weeks, I've been like so much on the computer. I really need to go outside a bit, doing some sun, more sport. Yeah, you need to move your body. Yeah, it's crazy how um it's crazy how you can feel it, like when you, because I'm not like the least active person. I try to do sport and stuff, but yeah, to be honest, the past few weeks had so much things going on that kind of let that slip. And yeah, gonna be honest, I feel like shit. But I feel great, like mentally, because I really like what's happening here at the bootcamp. But I don't know, physically, my body, I think, is not liking that too much. You look so lively. Thanks. It's 1 p.m. Okay. Yeah, so this is an open session, and any question, any day. I don't have anything especially for this mentorship session to present. So yeah, if you're stuck, any problem, I'm there. Also, just want to say quickly that there will be a project on day 6. So there will be an announcement soon, this afternoon. We have a lecture coming up soon, and then we have tonight we have presentation of the final project. So I'm going to present what you will be working on after day 5. This is gonna be very, like, it's gonna be optional for graduation. Graduation means I've completed the 5 projects, but this is going to be very interesting and very recommended for you if you really want to like find opportunities and job in the ecosystem. Also, I think it's gonna be very fun. And I got the idea from Wayne's here, which is one of your fellow students. But I've modified a bit what you've done, Wayne's, and I've also added a few things. So like the prizes, that some people have asked question about the prizes. All the answers will be this afternoon in the lecture. Yeah, don't expect crazy things for the prizes. It's really hard to get any kind of money already for everything that doesn't directly make money, as like the bootcamp. So we try to keep the prices low. And also, I think it's not, I have a problem with prices, which is I really like it, but also I prefer when people are like internally incentivized to learn stuff. Like, I think giving money to people to do stuff in general, like especially learning, whether it's like about creativity and like passion, doesn't really work. But yeah, more like for hackathon or things like this, I think prizes are good. Hi, how can I sort a buffer when I want to sort based on one field of the object? I think I've answered this yesterday night. No, I could do it again. So let's go to our favorite playground again. The question is the following question: how to sort a buffer based on one field of the object inside. I'm assuming it's for day 3 or day 2. It's for the probably for day 2. Everyone in the bootcamp use Brave as the browser. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm gonna be honest. I installed this because of this, like the rewards that you have, but I have never withdrawn them. And I mean, I don't even go there anymore since I don't even check. I think it's just a good browser. I don't think it's the perfect one though. I think that Brave is a Web 2/Web 3 company. Like they have some kind of Web 3 values and technology, but I think it's still like a Web 2. They are in the middle. It's a good progress, I think, from like Chrome and from like Chrome, yeah. But I don't think we're still there in terms of privacy and like anyway. Let's go back to Motoko. So the first thing would be to get the buffer. But actually, I'm sure that I've done, this is the last thing I've done yesterday night, but I'm gonna do it again. This time I'm trying a different method. So let's buffer. We want an object, so let's create our object. Let's say I want to change. It's gonna be a car. So a car as a name. Model, year of creation. It's gonna be a nut. And icon. It's gonna be a text. And maybe you want to have a buffer that store cars. So we will define it like this. And this is how we will add cars. Let's say it's a parking. Okay, let's say we want this function to return the cars, but sorted by years, with the young, with the oldest car in the beginning of the array. So the method I used yesterday to do that was to actually convert the buffer to an array. So I would have stored it in an array. And then I use a function from the array library, which is called sort. This one. And I provided a compare function. So you need to, I think you need to see what I've done from yesterday with the lecture. It was at the end of the mentorship session. It's on YouTube. And yeah, basically I created the order function. Order is again another library / type that we haven't seen too much, but it's there. It's basically just a variant that says, is it less, equal, or greater? And you have a few functions you can use there. And so I just want to see if there is a way to do it without going to an array directly with the functions that we have here, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Ah, I didn't saw that. Okay, so that's actually pretty great. We can use directly the buffer.sort method. So we can do parking.sort, but we need to add the compare function. And so the compare function is defined here. It's a private function. Compare cars by year, say. C1 and C2. And it's return an order. In that case, we need also to import order. And so if C1 dot here is equal C2 dot here, then we can return equal. If C1 dot year is inferior to C2 dot year, we can return greater, otherwise return less. Okay, and now we can put this one. Ah, wait. So yeah, okay, it just sorted. And so once we have done that, we need to return. I mean, I always return an array because it's more, I just like it more because it's something that you can visualize easier, I think, than a buffer, but we can also do, I think we can do that. Like this, and we can just return directly this. Ah, no, yeah, okay, indeed. This is a class, so buffer is a class, and it cannot be shareable. This is like the only exception to the, I said that usually it's only variable that are not shareable, but in this case, buffer is a class. We haven't seen class too much, so I'm sorry for those of you that are not like advanced programmer, because you probably not understand why this is a class. A class is basically just saying that we have an object, so it's a type, it's a special type, where we also include functions that we can call on the object. So if you look, we can actually do it. If we go to this one. So this is how the buffer library is defined from the Motoko base library. And so, okay, class buffer. You can see that basically when you do, yeah, it's here, public class buffer. So whenever you create a new buffer, you basically instantiate one object from this class. A class is, the buffer library is like a factory that's gonna create different buffers. And you can see that it's basically returning an object. So here you have the objects where you have the function directly on the object. So instead of having just fields in the object, you can also have add, which is going to take, let's say, our drive. We could define, let's try it. I haven't done that in a few months, but let's try it. Let's say we have a fuel, which is going to be a nat. So it's between 0 and 100, and it represents the amount of fuel in the car. And derive takes no argument and return a nat, which is public class cannot be anonymous. What I'm doing wrong here. Yeah, this is this is gonna be more complex than I thought. Maybe it's not the best way to introduce classes for those of you, because it's gonna be very confusing, but let's say name here, icon. So I'm going to explain what I'm doing here. Cool. So this needs to be a variable. Just doing a break from this. So I'm not forgetting the original question, but just making a quick break from that. I just want, why doesn't it work? Okay. So I will put this inside a module. So this is not an actor, this is a module. And I'm defining a class here. Okay. So this is very similar to actually what's happening for like buffers under the hood when you do buffer.buffer and you instantiate your buffer. There is some kind of similar structure to it. So let's try it. Actor, and then we import the car module. So like this. This is because we need a better structure. I don't know which one is car/lib.mo. Okay. Wait. Okay. I will do it from my own project because I don't know how you can create the structure I'm looking for inside the Motoko playground. I haven't used it enough. Yeah, on this car. Shit. It's car and you can use car in the import. I don't get why this is complaining. Okay, it's not. Yes, you're right. Yeah, I forgot this. Okay, it makes sense. So I can just go back to this. So I have imported the module and I just wanna instantiate the class. So I'm going to do let my first car is going to be car.car n. So my first car was Renault Scenic. This is a French car. I think the year was 2006. And the icon I think I'm going to put, let me see. I think the one that corresponds best is probably this one. So, okay. Let's see what's on it. I cannot return I cannot return the class directly. I think I can just return what I can do is more like I need to add something more. Let's do deployment. So I can see that this is my car. As you can see, basically it's not a type, it's a class. So the difference between a type and a class is that we have state, like a type doesn't have any state. It's just, it doesn't have any state. In this case, we have a state because we have variable. Those variables are not necessarily accessible from the outside. So we can say private. By default, they are private. We can make them public also, but those one will be private. And also a class has functions on it. So we can do something like public function drive, which will return a text, and it's just going to be drive my car, return my first car dot drive. How do I put the emoji? This is just a shortcut. So for me, it's Control, Command, and Spacebar, and it shows the emojis like this. And you can add an emoji is basically just a text, so you can use them like this. So let's see. I drive my car. I think the fuel is initialized to 100, but the fuel is gonna be decreased every time that we drive. So this is the internal state of the car. I can drive again. It's gonna be a bit long, I think. Yeah, maybe I should have chosen something else. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, the car is empty. So that's it. So this is how you define a class in Motoko. Usually you will have another file to do it. And then in the main.mode, you instantiate your class like this. And this is exactly the same as doing the buffer. So what we've done with buffer here is just initialize the class. Well, initialize one instance of the class. So buffer.buffer. And if we go to the source code of buffer, so we can see it's here, it's defined as a class, initial capacity here. And this is how we use the initial capacity. And then we have the size, the function size, the function add, the function get, and those are the same function that you will see here. So like here, size, add, get, and to call a function on the class, you can just do dot and the name of the function. So for the buffer, it's like dot size, dot add, and so on. And yeah, so basically, I can maybe come back to my explanation of the buffer. So that's why the buffer cannot be shared, because the buffer is a class, and we just cannot share the class as it's not a shareable type. So we had I think it was like this. But in this case, I think we had another. I'm just going to share the code for those of you interested. So let me go back to the, yeah, that was the non-broken code, is this one. This is very useful feature, save and share. It creates a link that you can share, and it's basically just your code. So it's very, very useful. This is my code. And yeah, let's go back to the type car that we had. So it was like this. Can remove that. We had name, year, and icon. So I'm going back to the question that was asked about sorting a buffer. So can we remove this file? I don't know. Okay. Okay, so since we cannot share the buffer, we need to do this, an array. And so we do parking.sort, and then we return array buffer.toArray the parking. Okay, I'm going to answer the other questions just after we try. So let's say say 1, the year is 2022. Then we have another one. This one, it's 2014. Yeah, so right now we have added the cars in the opposite order. So like the oldest car is in the end. And so this one should return the opposite order. And so it didn't work because I guess this is not good. I don't know why my brain has so much of a hard time to understand that. And now we have to start again. So this one is a Ford and it's 2016. I'm just gonna do for 2 cars. So the first one is the most recent one, the F1, and this one this time it should work in the opposite order. Cool. So you got the answer to how to sort based on one field. So you could do like this with a private function. You can also, I guess, write everything in the same method, but I like to have this separation. And instead of years, we could also compare by name. You can use like alphabetic order. We could compare by icon, by inventing some kind of order between the icons. Anything is possible. Next question, when is day 5 due? So the days are due, like the deadline will be on Sunday with the closing ceremony, but otherwise there is no like strict deadline. So I think you're good. If you are working on day 4, you are very good, I think. I think even if you are still on day 3, you are very good in terms of time. You might not have as much time to work on the like what's after day 5, but it's more of an optional project to kind of increase some of your stats. But you can still get the graduation. I don't understand what to do in project of day 4. Can you review the first 3 points? Yeah. Let me see. So this is the Moto coin. You have to build a ledger. It's not the most complicated project. I think some people are afraid because it's like a token and it seems like complex. We are going to build a crypto token and so on, but it's very, very easy. You just have to define, like, you just have to find to follow the steps. It's very similar to other days. I'm not sure exactly the first 3 points. Okay, so define the variable called ledger, which is a tree map. You have the keys of type account, so this is the type account, and the values of type NAT, so NAT, which represent the balance of each account. And you can use the helper function in account.mo to help you. So you should have a file here, account.mo. This is the function that you need to use because whenever you instantiate a tree map, you need to have a equal functionality that takes your keys, so 2 of your keys, in this case 2 accounts, and return a Boolean. So this is this one. And you need to have a hash function that takes 1 of your key, so 1 account here, and return hash. So I should rename that hash, but it's the same if it's a NAT32. And so you need to use those 2 functions to instantiate the hash map. And then, so then you're good for the step 1. And then you need to implement the function name and the function symbol. And the name of the token is Motocoin and the symbol is mock. That's all I can say. Let me know if it's not clear. I can explain a bit more, but maybe I should implement the name function. It's the function here that I want, this one and this one. No, there is not that much logic in the first two function. Yeah, it's very simple. Maybe it's too simple. I think that's maybe why you're confused. I don't understand. No, I already done. Yeah, okay. yeah, it's very, very simple. If we can't finish day 5, we won't be considered as graduate. Why can't you finish day 5? You still have today, Saturday, and Sunday. So 3 days. And also a lot of help. There will be no more lectures. So the last lecture is today. After this mentorship session, we have our last lecture. And then it's only presentations. So the difference is that presentations are going to be more about tooling and projects. And so it's not mandatory. I still recommend to attend. And yeah, why can't you finish day 5? I think you still have time. Like, I don't know which day you're working on right now, but you should be good. I have my doubts with the last function airdrop. Yeah. Trying to implement get all students principle. Yeah, so to do that, you need to do an inter-canister call to this canister, which, by the way, this canister is the canister that is verifying your project. And yeah, once you get the students list, you just need to add 100 token to all their all their accounts, to their main account. So this is the one with the sub account, which is null. And yeah, it only works on the IC. I agree. Might get confused. I should have added that and find like a workaround for it. Yeah, there are probably a lot of workaround for that. But yeah, it only works on the IC because this canister is deployed on the IC. So if you try locally, you should get an error trying to call this function, yes. We need to load all principal to our ledger. Yes. So you are basically calling the canister that is like storing the information that are on the dashboard. And it's It's sending all the principal from all the students, so from all of you, and then you airdrop tokens to all the principal. I have problem with the remote actor. There are a few functions. Yeah, there are a few more questions. Why is every mentorship session the same? Every time there is no question in the beginning, and then at the latest minutes, everyone just throw questions. It's always like this. Okay, first question, is it possible to return a function? Yes, it should be possible, yes. But the only way to increase Motocoin is with the airdrop. Yes, with the current ledger that we have, it's only possible with the airdrop. Yeah. Also, Fernandez, you are at step 7 of day 4. I think you are very, very good for graduation if you are already at step 7. Step 7 is a bit more complex, but we have the lecture on intercanister call coming in 15 minutes. So that should help. And yeah, don't worry, you'll get the weekend to finish. I think you will be good. Okay, so someone asked me, can we return a function? And so you should be able to return a function, but you have to define the type of the return value as a function. So you have to do something like this. Let me see. So let me see. I'm not sure of the syntax exactly. I think this one should be good. Yeah, so you can return a function, but it needs to be a shareable function. So in this case, this one is not shareable because it's like, we would need to put it like this if we want it to be shareable. And so we could do this. So what I'm doing here is defining a type, and functions can have, like any other object, function can also have their own types. It's just that the syntax is a bit more complex because it's also like you need to specify the shared, the arguments, the return value. So this is the type of this function. We could do something like this. So now we need to define it like this. Yeah. So I've just modified your example because you didn't have a shareable function, so I couldn't return it from a public field. So I wanted to have something to show. And so now we could do that, and we could try. What's the problem? I think there is just a bug here. Line 4, a public function, a shared function is only allowed as a public field of an actor. This is a limitation of the current version. Is this a limitation of the playground, or is this a limitation of the compiler? Ah, interesting. So apparently this is only possible to define a public function, a shared function as a public field. So like, wait, maybe we can do that? No. This is very annoying. But it should work. I'm pretty sure there is a work around that. Interesting. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna, no. But we could actually do something, well, we could actually do something like this. So as you can see, the syntax is a bit strange. It's returning the canister ID and dot init, but it's returning a function type here. So yeah. I think we got our answer. Do you have a use case in mind, or was it just for the curiosity? So we can't actually call locally an IC canister. No, this is a problem which has been reducing like some limiting some developer. You cannot call canister outside of your like environment. Like you have to see it as your replica is one environment, DIC is another one, and you cannot just call canisters like mixing environments. There are a lot of problems, like technical issues to make this possible. Because like, for example, the signature wouldn't be the same. And it's even a question of whether we want to allow that in the future or not. There was a lot of people wanting to that wanted to basically be able to call like the internet identity canister, because of the fact that like it's something running on the mainnet and it's very important for a lot of applications. They just wanted like a signature from it to be able to do all sorts of experimentation locally, but it's not something really prioritized because there are a few security issues with that. So yeah, it's not possible. The supply of the coin. So I'm also having question on day 4 again. Yeah, the supply of the coin is gonna change. So this is like a very simple coin, and it doesn't maybe make sense because there is no like there is only airdrop that creates the token, and then that's it. And so the total supply should be a function that always returns the number of token in circulation. The idea here is to loop through all the accounts and return a sum, but it should be like I didn't say that airdrop couldn't be reused multiple times. So if it's possible, then total supply should be updated accordingly. So you have to basically do it, like find a way to do it programmatically, so it works every time you do the. So it works every time. Like you cannot just return the, yeah. If you use a variable to store like the number of airdrop you do, I think it's not really the good approach, because maybe it works, but I don't think it's the good approach. Because imagine maybe we want to add another function that is like mint and enable like someone to create token. Then you would be much more complicated. So the best and the simplest way to return the balance, the total supply, is to loop through all accounts and add the value of those accounts, and then you can return the value of that. I'm going to answer my last question and then jumping to the next lecture. So in a real use case, if you need to use another canister that you didn't code, do you have to test in production? It depends if you have access to the code or like the WASM module of the canister that you are interacting with. Not necessarily. This is like a complication, of course. This is something you have to take into account. I don't think we found the perfect formula yet for like all projects. I'll say you can work locally as much as you want. And usually, like, for example, for the ledger, ICP ledger, for like internet identity, like all the big canisters that are very much used, you have the code available and the WASM module that you can basically use to deploy instances of those canister on your local replica and then populate them with data. But of course, if you're working with like another canister from like a random developer, it's gonna be more complicated. So you can either ask them to provide that for you, or you can also have like local, then production 1 and production 2. I like to do that as well. Like I had kind of a test canister that is on the mainnet, but is not the one used where I have like all my users. That can be like a pattern, depends on what you do. I think it's a good question to ask to like the big project on the IC, like Discover, how they are doing it. I hope I'm able to bring them on the bootcamp or like in a future bootcamp to like explain a bit more. Yeah. Yeah, ICP is also new for it's a lot of new concepts, and I think we'll get there where we have like mature ecosystem, but right now I think it's still lacking some fundamentals of like testing and local developments for a lot of people. It's very surprising. But yeah, I'm an adept of, because I haven't worked for like huge projects. I have mainly worked on, well, I had like an NFT collection with 5,000 users, so we didn't want to screw up. But mainly I've been like a solo developer type with a lot of different projects, and I've worked a lot like with the mainnet kind of approach, where yeah, I didn't have like 5,000 users that if I do a bad upgrade or something like this, it would screw. So let's move to the next lecture. It's the last lecture, and it's also the lecture about internet canister call. So very interesting lecture. And yeah, I see you there in 2 minutes. See you.